Maya stood at the corner of 88th Street, a small bag of groceries in her hand and her jacket zipped up tight against the early spring wind. The sun was just starting to set, painting the sky orange and pink. She saw her brother Andre across the street, laughing with his friend Malik. Andre always stood out. Not just because he was tall, but because of how he dressed. That day he wore a bright green jacket over a red hoodie, and his pants had little patches sewn on them in different colors. His sneakers were old, but he kept them clean. Maya thought he looked cool, like someone who didn't care what the world thought. He made clothes feel fun. She smiled and started to wave, but then a police car pulled up slowly beside them. The window rolled down. "Hey, clown boy," one of the officers called out. He had sunglasses on, even though the sun was going down. "Circus in town or what?" Andre froze, his smile fading. Malik took a step back. "Man, we're just talking," Andre said, trying to keep his voice calm. The second officer leaned over from the driver's seat. "You seriously left the house like that? Come on, man, you look like a box of crayons." They both laughed, like it was some kind of joke. Maya's heart pounded. She wanted to yell at them, to say something, anything. But she couldn't move. Her feet felt stuck to the ground. She saw Andre glance her way, just for a second, and then he looked back at the officers with a small, tired smile. "I like colors," he said. "They make people smile." "Whatever, man," the driver said, rolling the window back up. "Try looking like a grown-up next time." The car drove off slowly, turning the corner and disappearing into the distance. Andre stood there for a second longer, then gave Malik a quick fist bump and started walking toward Maya. "Hey, lil sis," he said, forcing a grin. "Got the bread?" Maya handed him the grocery bag and nodded. She didn't know what to say. Her chest felt heavy. "They were so mean," she finally said. Her voice was small. "Yeah," Andre said. "They were." They walked home quietly. The wind picked up and Maya pulled her jacket tighter. She wanted to cry, but she didn't, not yet. When they got to their apartment, Andre put the groceries on the counter and headed to his room. Their mom noticed right away. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," Andre said without turning around. "Just tired." Maya sat on the couch and looked at the front door. She wasn't tired. She was angry that people could say cruel things and drive away like it was normal. Angry that her brother had to smile through it like it didn't hurt. And even though she didn't know it yet, that moment was going to change everything. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the way the police officers laughed. It was the kind of laugh that didn't sound funny at all. It sounded cold, like they were laughing just to make Andre feel small. She stared at the ceiling in the dark, listening to the quiet hum of the fridge in the kitchen. Across the hall she heard Andre's music playing softly from his room. He always played music when he didn't want to think too much. The next morning, Maya sat at the kitchen table, her cereal getting soggy. Andre came in wearing a plain gray hoodie. Nothing bright, nothing patched. He poured himself a cup of coffee and didn't say much. Their mom was quiet too. After a moment, Maya heard Andre speak, almost in a whisper. "I didn't even do anything. Just standing there. They looked at me like I was nothing." Their mom walked over and hugged him from behind. She didn't say it'll be okay because they all knew that wasn't always true. Later that day, at school Maya told her best friend Kayla what happened. "They made fun of his clothes." "The police?" Kayla asked, wide-eyed. Maya nodded. "They called him a clown. Just for dressing how he always does." Kayla frowned. "That's messed up. My uncle got stopped last week for walking too slow. He was just coming from work." Maya blinked. She knew bad things happened, but it felt different when it happened to someone you love. That night, Maya opened her journal. She didn't usually write a lot, but this time the words came fast. "I saw them laugh at Andre like he didn't matter. But he matters. He's kind and funny and brave. Why can't they see that? Why don't they care who he really is?" When she finished, she stared at the page for a long time. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't sure if she was sad, mad, or both. A few days passed. Andre still wore his bright socks, but not his patchy pants. He still joked with Maya, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Maya hated how they had taken something from him, something small maybe, but still important. They had taken a piece of his joy, like stealing color from a painting. At school Maya started listening more. She heard stories from other kids. Stories like Kayla's. Stories like Andre's. Some were worse. One boy said his cousin got pushed by a cop for talking back. A girl said her dad tells her never to run, not even for the bus, just in case. Maya started to wonder why this happened so often, and why no one seemed to stop it. She didn't have all the answers, but she knew one thing for sure: the way her brother was treated wasn't right, and something deep inside her was waking up, something that wasn't going to go quiet again. It started with a flyer. A lady from the community center stopped Andre outside the grocery store. She had a kind face and wore a scarf with sunflowers on it. "We saw the video someone took," she said. "We're holding a rally about fairness and respect. Would you be willing to speak?" Andre looked unsure. He wasn't the kind of person who liked big crowds. But the lady smiled gently. "You don't have to say much, just your truth." That night at dinner, he told their mom and Maya, "I don't know, what if I mess up? What if no one listens?" "You won't mess up," Maya said quickly. "And people should listen." Their mom nodded. "You've got something to say. Say it loud. They already tried to silence you once. Don't let them do it again." Andre smiled at that, just a little. "Okay, I'll do it." The rally was held outside the community center on a cool Saturday afternoon. Maya wore her favorite hoodie and brought a notebook. She didn't know why. She just felt like she might want to remember everything. There were about 50 people there. Some held signs. Others just stood quietly, listening. When Andre walked up to the microphone, Maya held her breath. He cleared his throat and looked out at the crowd. "My name's Andre Jenkins," he began. "A few days ago, some police officers rolled down their window and laughed at me, called me names because of my clothes." He paused. His hands were shaking. "I've been wearing colorful stuff since I was a kid. It makes me feel good. I've never hurt anyone, but they treated me like a joke, like I didn't matter." Someone in the crowd called out, "You do matter," and others nodded. Andre kept going. "I know this happens to a lot of people, not just me, and I think it's time we talk about it. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to be seen." Maya felt something strange in her chest. Pride, big and warm and full. Her brother, was standing up not just for himself, but for everyone. Someone recorded the speech and posted it online that night. By the next morning, it had over 10,000 views. By the next night, 100,000. Maya scrolled through the comments on her phone. "This is powerful. Thank you for speaking up. He's not alone." People were listening. For the first time it felt like Andre's voice reached farther than just their neighborhood. And Maya realized something important. One voice could light a fire. Even one spark could grow. 2 weeks after the rally, the phone rang during dinner. Andre almost didn't answer it. The number looked strange, long and official looking, but something told him to pick up. "Hello?" he said. There was a pause. Then a calm voice spoke. "Is this Andre Jenkins?" "Yes, this is Tanya Fields, calling from the White House communications team. The president watched your video and was deeply moved. He'd like to invite you to speak at a national town hall next week in Washington, D.C., about justice and fairness. We'll cover everything. Travel, hotel, all of it." Andre blinked. Maya, sitting across from him, stopped chewing her food. "Wait, what?" he said, his voice shaking. Tanya continued. "We think your story needs to be heard. The president believes young voices like yours can make a real difference." When Andre hung up, he just sat there in silence. Then he looked at Maya and their mom. "The president wants me to speak." Their mom covered her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears. "The actual president of the United States." Maya jumped out of her seat and shouted, "Are you serious?" Andre nodded slowly. "Yeah, I guess I am." They left for Washington 3 days later. It was Maya's first time on a plane. She pressed her face to the window as they rose into the clouds, her heart pounding with excitement and nerves. The town hall was in a big building filled with lights, cameras and people in suits. Maya had never seen anything like it. She held Andre's hand tightly as they walked past the rows of seats. When the event began, the president walked onto the stage. He was taller than Maya expected, and he smiled like someone who truly cared. He spoke about justice, kindness, and the need to listen to real stories. Then he said it. "Andre Jenkins, from Chicago, is one of those voices. He reminded us that what people wear doesn't define their worth, and that dignity belongs to everyone." Maya gasped. Her brother's name, spoken by the president, The crowd clapped as Andre walked up to the microphone. His hands still shook a little, but his eyes were steady. "Thank you, Mr. President," he said. "I'm not used to this kind of place. I'm just a guy who likes colors, but I'm here because people with power need to hear from people without it. What happened to me isn't rare, but being heard, that is." His voice grew stronger as he went on. Maya sat straight in her chair, her eyes shining. She didn't care how big the room was. To her, Andre filled it. After the speech, people lined up to shake his hand. The president even took a photo with him, placing a hand on his shoulder. That night in the hotel, Maya looked at Andre as he stared at the ceiling. "Do you believe it?" she asked. He smiled softly. "Not yet, but maybe I will." When they got back home, everything felt the same, but also completely different. Andre was still Andre. He still made corny jokes and forgot to take out the trash. But now, people stopped him on the street to say thank you. Teachers at Maya's school showed his speech during class. One even said, "This is what bravery looks like." At first, Andre didn't know what to do with all the attention. But then, he made a choice. He wasn't going to use his moment just for himself. In interview after interview, Andre repeated the same thing. "It's not just about me. There are so many people who never get a chance to speak. I'm just one story." Maya listened to every word. She realized something big. Her brother wasn't just telling his truth anymore. He was telling theirs too. Soon other people in the city began speaking out. A mother told the news how her son had been stopped walking home from football practice. A teenager shared how a police officer searched his backpack just because he wore a hoodie. People were no longer silent. The police department in their city held a public meeting. They promised to listen and do better. They said they'd start training officers to treat everyone with respect. Some people believed them. Some didn't. Maya wasn't sure yet, but at least things were being said out loud. At school, Maya and Kayla started a little club called Voices Up. It began with just 4 kids sitting in the library at lunch. But by the 3rd week, there were 15. They talked about fairness, kindness, and how to stand up for others. One boy said it helped him not feel alone. A girl brought a poem she wrote about her dad being afraid every time he left the house. Maya didn't think of herself as a leader, but when she looked around that table and saw people nodding, smiling, even crying, she felt something shift. One afternoon, she walked into the kitchen, where Andre was cutting up apples. He looked up and grinned. "You've been quiet," he said. "That usually means your brain's on fire." Maya laughed. "I was just thinking. You told your story, and now other people are telling theirs." Andre nodded. "That's how change starts." She picked up a slice of apple. "I want to help tell more stories. Maybe one day I'll be the one asking the questions, or writing the truth." "You already are," Andre said. "And you don't have to be big to make change. You just have to speak up." Maya smiled, because now she wasn't just watching. She was a part of something. A few weeks later, life started to feel normal again. But Maya wasn't the same. She still walked home from school with Kayla. She still did her homework at the kitchen table. But something inside her had changed. She didn't just see the world anymore. She understood it a little better. The way people in power could help, or hurt. The way some voices were lifted, and others ignored. One afternoon, Maya sat in her room, writing a story for English class. The prompt was simple: write about someone who inspires you. She didn't even have to think. My Brother Andre, by Maya Jenkins. My brother wears bright clothes, and laughs at his own jokes. He listens when people talk, and never forgets birthdays. Some people laughed at him, but then, the president called his name. He taught me that you don't have to be loud to be strong. You just have to be real. He stood up, even when it was hard, and because of that, others did too. He showed me that words can be a light in the dark. I want to be a light too. Maya's teacher read it out loud to the class the next day. A few students wiped their eyes. Kayla gave her a high five. When she got home, she handed the paper to Andre. He read it slowly. When he looked up, his eyes were watery. "You mean all this?" he asked. "Every word," Maya said. He pulled her into a hug. "You're gonna change the world one day. You know that." Maya smiled. "Maybe, but I'm starting here." That weekend they walked to the corner of 88th Street together. The same one where the police had mocked Andre weeks ago. This time there was no fear. Just quiet. And sunlight. Andre wore his bright green jacket again. His patched pants too. Maya stood next to him, her hands in her hoodie pocket, her heart steady. She looked up at him and said, You look like a box of crayons. Andre laughed. The good kind, the best kind. They stood there for a few more minutes before heading home. And even though the street looked the same, Maya knew something was different now. Something in her, something in Andre, maybe even something in the world. Because sometimes change starts with one person being brave, and sometimes the world listens. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment with your thoughts, or your own experience, and subscribe for more real stories that give a voice to those who deserve to be heard. Your voice matters. Let it be part of the change.